The new Vanguard hero Rogue is without a doubt one of the most complex heroes in Marvel Rivals. And this comes down to the cornerstone ability of her kit. Her power stealing fundamentally changes the way you're going to perform with this hero, your combos, your kill potential, and really your power as a tank in general. So in this video, we're going to go through every single power that Rogue can steal from every single hero and put them on a tier list, so you know which ones to aim for, which ones are actually bunk, and the ways to get the best results from Rogue. Play her to her maximum potential. Comment your thoughts as we're going along with this. Tell me your favorites right now before we get into this list, because I might just change your mind. First, the basics of Rogue's power steal. As you can see above Bruce Banner, you can actually tell what power you're going to steal from them if you're quick enough to see this in the middle of battle. It's a one-time steal. As soon as you use it, it goes on to a 20-second cooldown, but it does provide you a passive as long as you hold on to that stolen power. And that's probably the more useful part of these powers in general. And as a pro tip, you have this dash power. When you utilize the dash power and then steal a power, it refreshes this dash. So your combos should fundamentally be based around using the dash into a power steal and dashing away to save yourself. With all that considered, we're going to start with the Vanguards. And the Vanguard class provides 125 extra HP on top of your 675. This will put you at 800 health, right up there with the toughest Vanguards like Groot. And it will also apply minus 20 HP to the hero that you grabbed with the life power. Most people do not know that there's a minor debuff when she steals these abilities. Now with Bruce Banner, unfortunately, you get the worst power in the entire Vanguard class. You don't get his bubble, you don't get the stun, you just get the sonic clap, which does a decent amount of damage. It can increase your combo potential, but it doesn't help you do the job of a Vanguard, which is really what we're going to be ranking all of this on. Does it make her tougher? Does it let her protect her teammates? Or does it let her make big plays that enable her DPS or strategists? That's why this is by far the worst in my opinion, easy D tier. Moving on to Doctor Strange, this one is actually really good, because you just straight up get his shield, and it has 800 HP above your 800 HP. And as you can see, it's lasting for pretty much as long as I was holding it there. Definitely more than 10 seconds, probably about 12 seconds. I'm going to have to put this one in the A tier, if not the S tier. I'll decide that as I go through the rest of these heroes, but in my mind, this is one of the best ones you can possibly grab. Next, we have Groot, and I'm kind of iffy on this power, because the way that Rogue operates, she wants a clean line of sight. Though this does protect her from getting poked, which is by far her biggest weakness, if you're not really good with Groot walls, they can hurt your team more than they help them. So I'm going to have to put this at a solid B tier. At least it provides a shield. It's not completely useless. Next, we have Venom, and you would hope to get his overshield, but unfortunately, you just get the tether. And this can help you finish off DPS that are trying to run away, you know, squishy strategists that you haven't finished, because just know, if you're grabbing a Vanguard, you're not getting the power boost. So if you hit 2 combos with your primary fire, that's 6 attacks, you'll only do 230 damage. You will not finish even the squishiest heroes. So I could see this tether being useful in certain situations. This is when I think Strange is S tier, Groot is A tier. This power is a solid B tier. It can get you eliminations, and for that, not totally useless. Next, we have Magneto, and this one is really good actually. You don't get the solid barrier, you get the bubble instead, but the key with this bubble is it's physical, as opposed to Doctor Strange's shield, which is an energy shield. The point being that physical attacks can go through Doctor Strange's shield, but they cannot go through this bubble, which means it can actually block a lot of ultimates, it can block punch combos, it can completely throw off the game of a Wolverine or a Spider-Man, and that's why I have to put this at B tier. The thing is, now that I'm actually using it myself, it's a pretty short activation window. You only have 2 seconds where you're in the bubble maybe. That means it's not contesting a Groot wall in terms of damage blocked. Now, Thor's power in the context of Rogue's kit is actually A tier, because it has a decent activation time, and it gives you access to projectiles, which is a huge flaw in her kit. And as you can see, I had enough projectiles to actually take down a Thor, which is what, 600, 650 HP? This greatly expands Rogue's kit, and honestly, I think it's way better than getting a damage bonus from a duelist, this might be the best attack-oriented power she can grab, at least that I've seen so far. Now, the Thing's power is actually pretty disappointing. You just apply defense bonus to yourself, you don't even leap to your teammates or to your enemies. But the defense bonus is going to give you a bit more survivability, so I guess I have to put this in C tier. It is not the absolute worst thing you could get, it's not a Hulk Sonic Boom, but I think you're barely going to notice the bonus in the middle of fights. Now the final Vanguard, Emma, really good, because she just gets the diamond form. So consider this. You have 800 HP, you're in the diamond form with damage reduction, and it stacks damage reduction with your shield ability. So if we're damage reduce, while damage reduce, you're pretty much taking no damage there, and while you don't have access to any of her combos, like her kicks, it's gonna greatly enhance your ability to stay in the pocket and do your own, you know, melee stuff. It's actually gonna help you get more eliminations and progress your team further. So I gotta give this an A tier. Not quite S tier, because you're not defending anyone but yourself with this power. I'll briefly mention there's a couple of heroes she can't absorb powers from. These are mostly human characters or characters that have tech-based abilities. In the Vanguards, this is Angela, Captain America, and Penny Parker. And personally, I don't understand Angela. I thought Angela was like a mythical being, you know, shouldn't she have some Thor-like ability? Tell me in the comments if you hope they expand this in the future. Though, I understand Captain America and Penny Parker. I already mentioned that Rogue gets a damage boost from the Duelist. The exact number is 20%, and she also applies a minus 3% damage reduction to whoever she sucks the power from. And that actually changes the elim thresholds for some of these heroes. I'm not too versatile in the Duelists. I'm definitely a Vanguard main, Strategist second. Starting with Storm, this might be one of the best Duelist powers you can copy, because you're going to get access to her weather boosts. So right now it's a speed boost, here it changes to a power boost. And this look at that, you even get the little electrical attack. That lasts for about 5 to 7, maybe 10 seconds. And the whole thing is you're benefiting your entire team with this power right here. Once, wow, you get to choose when to activate it. So you're benefiting yourself, and then you can choose to benefit your team. That's really good. Storm Absorb is by far one of the best ones from the Duelist class, though it's probably going to be pretty hard to actually grab this power, right? Because Storm is going to be all the way up there. She's not going to be playing around down here, making it too easy for us. The next Duelist, Hela, this one is kind of mid. You're going to get her stun ability, this little stun orb, but it's actually very small, and it doesn't last that long. It's an actual stun, though, so as opposed to Hulk's power, you can actually stop somebody's ultimate with this, you can stop someone from using one of their cooldowns, but it's not that great, and it's used almost instantly. Doesn't benefit your team at all. C tier on this one. Now, Magic's power, actually kind of cool. It provides her a bit of extra movement. She gets access to the portal, but also, she can lay a portal demon. And come on, guys, having a little extra turret there can make a difference. I'm gonna have to put this on the higher end of B. We have to consider that there's gonna be way more Duelists than either class, so I'm trying to be fair here. Maybe we'll bump it up to A, but right now I'm feeling high B on this one. Maybe if the portal sent you a little bit further. Now, personally, I really like Squirrel Girls. A lot of people are calling this the worst one or one of the worst ones, but I think this huge jump combined with the rest of your kit actually gives you access to a lot greater mobility. What people don't think about in Marvel Rivals is levels. And by that, I mean, like, the floors of an actual map. That's bottom floor, this is 1, that's 2. If I could suck this ability and get to level 2 all the way over here, that is a mobility play. That can save your life, that can reposition your team, it can make a difference. That's why I gotta put this on the B tier. I'm not gonna put it C, not gonna put it D. And I mean, come on. The fact that she gets the little cartoony woohoo, that just makes the game even more fun. And you gotta give it bonus points for that. Spider-Man's power seems simple on the surface, but it actually greatly enhances her combo potential, because you get access to his uppercut. And this uppercut, launching him in the air, combined with your powers, you know, I haven't even played around with it yet, but let's just give it a try here. So if I hit an uppercut, boom, and then I hit this power, and then I'm boom, and then I come down. Like, you see the amount of damage we poured out there, and you're actually stunning them into the air as well, which puts them higher up and makes them more available for your teammates to shoot them. I've found that powers that pop people up have a great underrated advantage to them. So I'm going to have to put this sneaky A tier. That's right, Spider-Man Steel, I would actually try to go for this guy. And kind of an added benefit is if you grab Spider-Man, you're stopping his combos, you're stopping his momentum. And he's all about getting that ball rolling. He's a heavy combo character. Now, Scarlet Witch's power. This is the reason I put Hella Stun in the C tier. Because you get the same power from Scarlet Witch, it's just bigger and better. If you've played Marvel Zombies, you know how devastating this bubble can be. And it lasts longer, too. You can see that was like 5 to 7 seconds right there. So, boom, you can hit multiple enemies. Bang, bang. Each time is a little stun. And that gives you time to capitalize into your own combos and chase them down. I really, really like the Scarlet Witch power, A tier. Namor, another power that seems good on the surface. You know, you got an auto turret, right? But it's just an auto turret, no mobility for you, and you don't have the best part of Namor's kit, which is the headshots. The point of Namor is that hitting headshots activates your squid. So it really is a skill game. You do way more damage when you hit way more headshots, which makes you much more valuable. But just this squid right here alone, I'm gonna have to put you B tier. Maybe you're doing a little bit of damage, but it's not enough to make up for what you do with some of these other cooldowns. You might already know Psylocke. They showed this in the trailer, and while it seems flashy, it seems cool, I think this is C tier. Because when are you actually gonna want to go invisible with Rogue? And geez, man, you saw how long that lasted right there? That was like 2 to 3 seconds. That's nothing. Can we even combine it with our other powers here? Like if I dash?
Farewell.
No, I think it actually took me out of the invisibility to attack, because that's just how it functions, right? Dang, now that I'm looking at this, this is probably one of the worst powers. This is a D tier power. Wolverine, however, has sneakily one of the best DPS abilities. So you grab him, and you get this Undying Rage. That's 40% damage reduction. On top of your shielding powers, that's really good. Makes him contend with an Emma Frost. However, no mobility, and you don't get that overshield dump that he gets from his Rage passives. So I can only put it at A tier. Not quite S tier, not busted. Just really, really good. However, Iron Fist's ability might actually be an S tier. So you're gonna steal his healing chakra. And this actually can give you an overshield. So let's take a little bit of damage, do some healing, and this can push you far above your threshold, 775. So you're pretty much grabbing the passive ability of the Duelist, that 20% damage buff, and a bunch of extra health, like you're grabbing a Vanguard. You're getting a 2-for-1 here. It deteriorates rather quickly, but Iron Fist has become a pretty popular pick. You see him around, man. Yeah, 70-75. Tops out right there. And 100% if Iron Fist is in your backline, if he's giving you problems, you do want to be contending him anyway. And I'm not sure how the physics on this work. If he goes into his Harmony, you might actually be able to grab him out of this, or his shielding ability, whatever his block is, because that's how his cycles are. He blocks, he attacks, he heals, comes back again, and now you have a little bit of that in your kit. Now, Human Torch might actually have one of the best abilities for confirming a limbs, and you get his Flame Field, but it automatically lays in a triangle. So being that Rogue is a brawl-focused character, this works perfectly with your kit. You're going to be having people fighting in your face, and because you're an off-tank, you're not actually that sturdy. People are going to try to knock you down. Well, this plays to your advantage. Them trying to swarm you just hurts them in the end. And this will definitely put you over the thresholds of eliminating squishy heroes. I might even call this an S tier. I have to be responsible. We'll call this A tier because while it does benefit your team, doesn't heal you, doesn't give defense boosts, doesn't give movement. But Absolute Whiplash, Phoenix's power, very disappointing. You do get this little burst, right? Boom, boom. But the thing about Phoenix is her abilities are all about applying stacks of her Phoenix Force. So every time you apply 3 Phoenix Force, you get a little explosion. Without that ability, all of Phoenix's powers would be underwhelming, which is exactly what this is. It's just a tiny damage boost. Bang. 1, 2. And it's not even as damaging as Spider-Man's uppercut. Bottom of B tier, actually, this one's a C tier. However, Blade is gonna give you his lifesteal, and this can benefit you immensely. I don't know if it actually gives you attack speed. It might give you attack speed. I think that's part of Blade's passive, though. The real thing that makes this powerful is actually that Duelist damage boost, because knowing that you're getting 20% extra damage, and you're stealing a certain percentage of life based on the damage you do, you're going to be stealing a good deal of life. You're essentially getting a strategist bonus on top of your duelist bonus, kind of like how we were getting Vanguard and duelist combined with Iron Fist. And strangely enough, he's another hero that's gotten pretty popular lately off the back of a bunch of buffs. So I think you're going to have your choice. You're going to see a lot of Blades, a lot of Iron Fists, and you really should be aiming for both of these heroes. And the last duelist is Daredevil, and Daredevil's power has a couple of functions to it. I like it, but I think you have to put it in the B tier. So it does apply the blindness to you, which, though it does let you see around walls, you do get the heat signature effect, which is a bit of a hidden plus for you. Really, though, what defines it is the Sonic Pursuit. And this is your ability to just charge in at a specific target, and this is probably the highest mobility at cooldown you can have from the duelist class. This definitely increases your versatility, and I have gotten a couple of finishes with this that I wouldn't otherwise, so I think you can put this in the A tier. You get a damage boost, you get an extra sight beyond sight, and you get the ability to chase, and yeah, just really good. And you're gonna be seeing Daredevil everywhere because he is an absolutely broken hero who needs a nerf. We all know this. Probably not gonna get a nerf until Deadpool shows up in Season 6. And now that we finished the duelists, I'm seeing that there's a lot of them who don't provide powers. No Punisher, Hawkeye, Black Panther, Moon Knight, Black Widow, Tony Stark, Winter Soldier, Star-Lord, Mr. Fantastic. Wow. But those are all human-based heroes, or they got their powers through technology, or in Reed Richards' case, a cosmic ability, so you can't really copy that, I guess. But somehow you could copy the Thing and Human Torch. Questions. Now, thankfully, there's less strategists, and when you absorb a strategist, you're going to get 20 HP back per second, which really isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. That's why I don't consider the strategist boost that much. But you will put a 4% healing reduction to the person you suck the power from, so that is something to consider as well. Now, starting with Loki, you actually get access to one of his regeneration fields, and this is an easy A tier, if not an S tier, because in certain situations, this can cancel certain ultimates. And this is definitely balanced by the fact that you only get one, but sometimes one is enough. This is enough to give yourself an insane level of sustain, on top of the fact that, you know, you get that self-healing as well. So combine these two self-healings together. I might give this S tier, but we'll go through the rest of the powers first before I decide. With Mantis, I'm kind of iffy on this one. You get access to her Spore Sleep, and it is a decent amount of time. That's really why I prefer Mantis to Luna Snow, is because they stay asleep for a good 4 to 5 seconds. You can actually disrupt a fight for a long time with this ability, but Luna Snow has also gotten a buff with hers, and Mantis has kind of fallen off a bit. I don't know, I think I have to give this a B tier. It's just pretty average, and in the end, it's not going to change the fight significantly. Cloak and Dagger's power is a bit more versatile, and it depends on which form of them you absorb it from. If you get it from Dagger, you're going to get a healing bubble, so this is pretty good for the same reason Loki's is pretty good. However, it doesn't have the totem that you have to break, so this is why I'm leaning towards Loki being an S tier, because that one is an A tier, it's not a B tier. And if you grab Cloak, you're actually going to get the damage boosting curtain, and this is huge, actually. Both of these are definitely A tier. Though that damage reduction for absorbing a strategist, I like when you get a power that hits from multiple perspectives. I think it's better, instead of just stacking healing on healing, you kind of do damage reduction with damage boosts and all kinds of stuff. That's the really hot thing in the current meta, is stat changes, stat buffs and stat debuffs. Luna Snow, you're gonna get her Snowflake, and this thing flies instantly. Just got buffed. Boom. It's pretty much a hit scan. And now that I'm looking at it, it's almost as long as Mantis's Spore. So I think the only advantage Mantis's Spore had was that it came out instantly. So I think Mantis loses here. I'm gonna have to put Mantis in the C tier, Luna Snow in the B tier, Cloak Dagger A, and Loki on S. Next, we have Adam Warlock, and this is definitely another S tier power. You're gonna get his Soul Bond, which actually spreads the power over multiple heroes, right? Did I not hit it with enough, Oh, that's right, he's an enemy. So what I gotta do is go over here. Boom. And it spreads the damage across every hero here, which is going to give them a lot more survivability, give you a lot more survivability, and it helps you fulfill your role as a Vanguard, too. So this is a huge, huge S-tier power. I like Jeff the Landshark's power a lot. You're going to steal his healing bubbles, but you don't just put one. You put out 3 at a time. And each of these, I'm not sure how much they heal, but 3 bubbles worth of health, that is nothing to cough at. Let's go over here and take a little bit of damage. We'll lay our bubbles, take some damage here. And hey, that's cool. They actually stay around after we've used the power. So we don't have the support bonus, but we have residual bubbles. And one of them does... Wow. Wow! That's huge! The only reason I can't put this in S tier is because it's not a field. You have to run to these. But the amount you get for each bubble... This is high A tier, right up there with the Cloak and Dagger Shroud. Invisible Woman. This one I might have to give a B, but it might be the top of B. You grab her Force Physics, so you can push and pull. This means you can get some map kills pretty easily, some little cheeky limbs. But compared to the sustain you get from some of these abilities, I don't know if you really want to be aiming for this one. And she's going to be a hard character to grab because she has a lot of mobility, double jumps, invisibility, she can protect herself with shield now. And it might actually be the same with Gambit, because you do absorb one of Gambit's card suits, but you only get the Spade suit, which it means you can either hit an anti-heal on someone, or you can hit a radial burst on someone, and neither of these powers truly changes the flow of the game. You see just a minor pushback. I don't think they really fit well into her kit. They suit Gambit as a DPS healer hybrid, but this might actually be C tier. And the 2 heroes that you can't absorb are Rocket Raccoon and Ultron. You got an animal, and you got a technology guy. That makes sense. After all that, let's do a quick run through of the S tier heroes, the heroes you should be really aiming for in every class. First, we had Doctor Strange, 800 HP shield. And since looking at my lists, I didn't give anyone else an S tier, I'm gonna have to give S tier to Thor, because it increases her elimination potential so dramatically. You can definitely have huge pop-off moments if you have the Thor power. Now we had 3 S tiers in this class. We had Iron Fist, because you can heal yourself and get overshield. We had Wolverine for his massive defense boost. And we had Blade for that life steal. Other notables, I would say, are Scarlet Witch's stuns, and Human Torch's Fire Field. I really like Human Torch's Fire Field. And don't let me forget Storm's Power Boost. My god, Storm's Power Boost with the electricity, actually game-changing. From the strategists, we have 2 that are super important. That was Loki's Regeneration Field, Adam Warlock's Soul Bond. These 2 can stun fights for a very, very long time. Other notables were Cloak and Dagger's Healing Bubble, and Jeff the Landshark Bubbles, because those things can heal you like 400, 500 HP. But now that I've shown you the best and worst heroes to absorb abilities from as Rogue, tell me your thoughts in the comments. Which power is your personal favorite? And I don't really care if it's meta. Which one do you think is the coolest? Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.